Broad Street, the diet. It's like, yeah, you guys came up with a solution, now you're looking for a problem. That's. Is this one went to the lake? This one take the certain two. It did not. No. No, but it was a paper permission. Just before. Okay. Okay, welcome to the July 17th, 2023 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. We have two items on the agenda. We'll take them in the order that they're on the agenda. And so I'm not going to try this one. 21 Lynn Street. Come on, come on. Diageo and Cynthia Galicchio. Gallico. Didn't be too bad.
Yeah, I didn't think about it.
Okay, and so you've got a garage, you're looking at tearing it down completely?
Yes.
It's really bad.
Okay.
It's actually quite dangerous. Yeah. At this point.
I saw when I drove by, I was like, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
You're
But
like-
if you open the door, you're kind of taking over the hill stand. This is the whole thing. I think the original that, I mean, I can assume only that it's original to the house.
So how far down are you going? Foundation gone and
Oh,
From on the next side, we go.
no, that's. No, they didn't. Down, not behind it, you're talking when you say down.
what are you
mean
tearing
down
out?
ground.
What are you tearing
The
out?
foundation, because the foundation of the inside of the ground is all of the broken cement like sticking up everywhere, like you can't walk on it
Okay,
without cutting your feet. So that has to go, and the
Okay.
foundation has to be,
But there is no other foundation, it's like a slab.
Yeah.
It's a floating slab.
Yeah, they used to do in that.
okay, so you're stripping it right down to the dirt
Yes,
that
yes,
has to
and then
be,
looking at,
and we,
so it's a clean slate.
yes.
Okay. All right,
I think, yeah, we couldn't rebuild on the cement that's there, it's so broken.
okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's no barbed wire in there.
And you are enlarging the garage?
It's gonna be a two-car garage still,
Yes.
Okay,
but it's like very, I mean, this wasn't even built for cars, I don't think. Like if I get my car in there, I'm gonna hit I did actually break the rear
There's a
view mirrors.
This is a 20 by 20 garage. Yeah, two car, and there is a little.
The wall, in the middle.
So there is no way to put a car one side and another side, open the door comfortably, stuff, for another house. So we have to give it to the sports equipment, bikes and everything, put nothing in there. So we need a little bit more, space.
But what we're being told is we're not building it larger than a two-car garage, that it's. Whatever the width is what a two-car garage would be, that ours is small.
It's 24 by 28, we're going to do. This is 20 by 20. We build it, we want to build 24 by 20.
24 by 24 is kind of standard two-car garage.
Yes, that we do know, but the 24 is what we don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
have that.
And but you're looking at putting it on the property line, much like you have it right now.
It is, right now, yes.
Is there a reason you didn't move it over?
Is there a reason we didn't move it over into the yard?
Well, to basically meet the zoning requirements, yes.
So it really tucks behind the house a lot. It tucks behind the house quite a bit. See that?
Yes,
Also, there's a, you know, the city, the garage on the left side of the house. It's sitting on the foot of the design house. So pushing that mine in, it's good money there. The ball, really high there on the other side.
it'll squeeze your way.
No, that might, the knees, you know, I would say that the.
It just comes into the yard, the yard a little bit, and it's just more in line with the driveway there, because the driveway's on the property line, that if the garage is there, it just makes more sense to have it be where it is. I mean, I can understand why they built it that way, but had the driveway been different, it would have been maybe a little more convenient for it, but if it's something that we're allowed to do, I mean, that's where it is now, and borders the property between us and our neighbors, and has worked well.
Well,
So
that's the thing, is if you move it over 5 feet. That's allowed by code, and you don't even need a variance,
Mhm.
okay? What you're asking for is a variance against what our code allows.
Yes.
And that's kind of the rub, is that, or at least as I look at it, is why not just move it over 5 feet, meet the requirement, and be done with it.
I mean, I understand that some folks on our street have already rebuilt their garages right on the line.
Outside,
Get
outside,
into that.
to try to do the deck porch and as it, you know, the building the way it is right now, wider and 5 foot end. Would be hard to with a car or anything to go on the city spot. And then like to go in like this is the part inside the garage. Because there is the building, there is the house. And right there, the house is only 10 feet away from the garage thing.
But you're moving your garage back, so
Yes,
it
the
is
lake would be like 20,
20 foot 4 inches.
yes, but also putting 5 foot inside, you know, it goes more in the middle of the yard from the second time, that very, I don't know. That it's very right, you know,
I think our hope was just to be able to build it on that line and push it back, since there is a void in the back of our property, to just be able to, I mean, it's a lot of empty space behind our garage, it's not really useful to us. And we were just hoping to be able to push it back into that space and keep it right where it was. If that was allowed, then that's what we would do, that's what we we're hoping for. I mean, I've seen it done on our street, I've seen some folks redo it, it looks really nice, and it would obviously improve the property and, you know, feel like the house, I think.
it doesn't look good the way it's right
So
now.
now we're-
It looks old and everything, but we like the community, the area.
You know, what I mean, let's hear, let's hear.
Um,
Yes.
Yes, that empty behind.
Right.
I've had friends who live in- Year round. So,
We have spoken with the neighbor on that side and we're in. He's in agreement with it and he's not disagreeing to it and would have a plan for covering this, you know, the space either with a fence or another. I mean, he has a hedge on this one side, but I don't know what you choose to put there, but we would also agree to that as well.
We have to put some fence,
Yeah, we have to put some in.
gotta do this and then on it means a little bit of it, but four minutes.
Is that edge on his property?
Yes,
The hedges is,
And does it go along the side of the garage?
no, it's
I
okay.
think there's something else on the side of the garage bigger, it's like a bigger push.
Okay.
Something, but I think he either would extend it or perhaps fence, but he would put something, he said, because he has a pool on that side. But he would be okay with it, and I actually don't even know how long that hedge is gonna be there, it's quite overgrown on one side and emptied out.
Sure. Comments, questions from anyone?
So I'm super hesitant to allow a rebuild right on the property line like that. Would you be willing to consider coming over, a little bit away from that property line? In part because you don't know that your neighbor is going to be your neighbor for the next however many years, right?
Yes.
And they may have a different perspective of how close the building is to the property line. So that's an issue. You also need to be able to maintain, if they decide, new neighbors, current neighbor, if they decide to put a chain link fence. You're gonna wanna have the ability to do maintenance to the side of your garage. And if he goes that close to the property line, remember what his right is, you're gonna be stuck. And speaking from experience, my garage was built on a line like that. And my neighbors put up a fence this far from the other side of my garage, I can't even deal with my siding. Yeah, it's not a fun predicament to be in.
We have, this side of our yard that is almost halfway down, the garage of the other neighbors on Stackton. And they just come around and they would say, but we would put something in front of that. Because it's literally, I would be putting a fence in the middle of my yard. It would be sort of silly. And what kind of a compromise would you consider?
You're asking for 0, 5 feet would be what
That would be
we,
fine, 5 feet. Somebody had told me about, asking me perhaps it is it combined 5 feet on the two sides? That they told 5 feet, or that's 5 feet, 5 feet?
No, that's for the main principal structure,
Oh,
once it
okay.
combined. The minimum on both sides and the total between the two has to meet a certain amount, but for accessory structures, 5 feet from the property line. is it. So,
Yeah.
you know,
So I agree with that real quick. I just thought of this right now as we're talking about. With the paving, although the stuff's in 3 feet of the property line too. So anything expanded from what you have now, can't be more than closer than 3 feet to that property line. Unless you guys discuss that.
I mean, we don't. We just can't move it.
No, not what's existing, but anything you added to it. You're gonna make it, it's gonna stay straight unless we throw drivers with that too.
You know, that's- That makes it a little awkward.
Right, that's expanding the parking area. That's-
well, and right off the bat, your garage door is 3 feet from the outside wall.
But it was
So
like-
if you pave to the garage door, you're good. I mean, it's 2 foot 6.5 and figure it's 6-inch wall. And it's only a 4-inch wall. But you're in the ballpark.
if it would stand around.
If it's taken on by the boundary line, they only paint directly to the garage door.
Right.
But. That's the recommendation. 5.5 inch wall, so. Yeah, the edge of the garage door is 3 feet from the outside wall of the house, or the garage. Which line go 10 negative? Or we should. Include that, just to be safe.
I'd probably do it if we say.
Yeah.
Just not really.
Okay.
I don't think I understood.
Any new pavement, like you're gonna take your driveway out, put a new driveway in, you gotta be 3 feet from the property. So the 3 feet of green space between the property line and the pavement. So if you were to pushing that back, 12 feet, something like that, yeah, 12 feet back. That 12 feet, you'd have to have a variance for that pavement that's too close to the property line if you stay on that property. So if you went straight back, we wouldn't be as light as pavement at 3 foot strip, which kind of makes it. So that's why.
Yeah.
Well, and
That's why
I'll tell you,
to discuss it now.
what I would say is if we did give that to you, we would give it to you as a straight line from where it's at the property line to the garage door. So at least it's just a little tag, and when it got to the garage door, you'd be 3 feet from the property line. But you wouldn't be stepping on. If you like, you don't need pavement outside of where the garage door is.
If we were to ever redo our, it's breaking a little bit there, you're saying we can't repave that?
You can,
I don't have anywhere else to
you
go.
can,
You can.
because it's existing. And as long as you don't want to do it. It, once you go bigger, bigger, then that's what the issue is.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally from him to us.
I it was a bad example.
So that would be, well, I'm just saying, so if you try to
You can
realize.
replace it as is. Which is bad. example.
But it's a good deal. The other,
I didn't know that.
I think maybe we probably should do it because
yeah.
we have to time to come back again. Back to the buildings.
Yeah, I was unaware of the paving part. I mean, yes, we would want to pay each other.
Okay. Right off the bat, it was negligent, not bringing us the way to get go. We are a 5-member board. We only have 4 members here. We need 3 yes votes for an affirmative action.
Okay.
You have the choice of either waiting until we have a 5-member board, or we can vote on it. But if we do vote on it and say no, you can't come back to us with the same thing for a year.
Oh, my goodness.
But because we are short of 1 member, if you want to postpone on our behalf, because we don't have a full board, you're welcome to do that.
I don't think we want to postpone just because of the time of year and people on the line to do the job. I mean, we will lose our stuff and I waited quite some time for.
And also we can feel out how it's going. Later, decide. We can postpone, we can do what we want. And then later we can decide to postpone if we feel like we have a better chance at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm interested in hearing what your thoughts are, and when you had mentioned something about like perhaps a proposal for. I mean, if we've already decided who's gonna be on the line, which is honestly our ask. We really would be asking that, we're also open to hearing, what your idea is for. And what else has been done, like I don't really have experience to know what else is happening in the city.
Well, let me first open up to the public. Anyone in the public have any comments? No? I'll close the public hearing portion. There.
Speaking for myself only, not for the other board members, I would be much more comfortable with the compromise of 3 feet from the boundary line. Being right on the boundary line, I just wouldn't feel comfortable with that for future, for all the reasons. But for future neighbors, for allowing something to be right in a boundary, that's not something we generally do. There would have to be real extenuating circumstances that we think that you really had no other options. And I feel that your yard is pretty decent, and you're actually, it's gonna be bigger for you because you're using up that dead space behind it. So I feel like you do have some options, but 3 feet would be a compromise that I personally would be more comfortable with. But again, I don't speak for the rest of the board. That's what I was thinking when I mentioned it.
Any other questions?
I would agree with 3 feet, the biggest thing looking at it, even from your perspective, would be if you do ever want to reside it or something. And you end up having a neighbor move in who's not the nicest, and maybe put up something right up in that line, it gives you the space to do the things you need to do. Without worrying about worst case scenario, future conflicts with the neighbor. And it also brings it closer to being the way that the zoning ordinance requires.
Why don't we do this? Unless you have comments there. Let's do the seeker. And then if we want, we can vote on what they have in front of us. And if that doesn't apply, we can make another motion. This is deals. Sure.
Do you plan on putting electricity in this garage?
I'm sorry.
Do you plan on putting electricity in this
Yeah.
garage? With a meter from the home or in its own separate meter? Or from?
Yeah, like right now, there's absolutely nothing there. Like, we could just plug a spot in, that would be good. And maybe I would, yeah, if the door goes, that's,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we would like that.
If you're gonna use it as a.
Yeah, we just like-
Some people do still live their doors.
That,
Only if,
there's no like,
only if they're choice. I know these.
Good.
All right. Let's. Secret actually is kind of good. If I
Yeah.
remember. I'll entertain motion on the seeker.
I make a motion to that the board chair review the seeker for phone number 2355. And check numbers 1 through 11 that no or small impact may occur. Check it like, no or small impact may occur and sign.
All in favor? Aye.
Even though it's not included in the application, in the motion, we can say, and driveway to make sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, you go. I guess you can start with whatever motion you want. Sure. I mean, we can-
So.
No, let's address what they want first. Yeah, let's address it there.
To make the motion for.
Make it a positive.
Okay.
Okay.
So I make a motion for Appeal 2355 to approve for the deconstruction and construction of a detached garage that would be rebuilt on the property line. Expanded from current 20 foot to 28 foot. By 24.
I don't know about paying.
And for the pavement, follow the current line, that exists for their pavement to go straight from the end, which would be the west, end of the driveway to, up to the new garage,
On the property line, or do we want to move into?
along the property line.
Okay. Okay. You got 4 no votes. Now. I'd be willing to entertain the compromise from someone.
So I'll introduce a compromise if are you willing to look into that? Is it something that you're,
I have a question. I knock it down and you look something there is. You will be in the color line, I know how to do it, and you write it, it's like, I rebuilt 20 by 20, just exactly the same line, live in the color line.
You would need a variance, but it would be a lot more likely to get approved. Because you're expanding the conformity by expanding the garage back.
No, I mean like. We say 2-car garage, 1-car garage, and this falling about 20 by 20. You just calculate a race and make up the line, so and use the yard between the back. I'm allowed to do on the property line.
You would technically still need a variance from us. But. Like I said, we would be a lot more likely to approve that. Because it's not expanding the non-conformity that you have now. The fact that you are going farther back, you're expanding the amount of non-conformity to the zone. And that's the part that we have a problem with. Yes.
If you were to repair your garage, to run the wall down. Repair that wall completely. Do the next wall, in stages. Then you wouldn't need a variance. You just would get a building permit for it.
But it has to be the exact,
Yes, you're.
give you like this wall and then this wall moves.
Yeah.
The same for a wall, then that's where it stays where it is.
Say exactly where it is, and you do the wall at a time, brand new construction, but. Wall at a time, a wall at a time, a wall at a time, exactly in the same spot. We can only, so once it comes down. It's like. So that's, I just wanted to clarify that.
No, we understand that sometimes it can be done on the property line and we. That would be the way to do it, but it doesn't. I mean, in my. Head, it just doesn't, change the, being close to the neighbor and putting on siding or whatever. I mean, we live in a neighborhood where all these garages are touching everybody's lawn, but we live with a garage. That consumes our entire lawn on this side. So we live in a neighborhood where just the properties are just cut like that, and these garages are there to. Have these garages all move into the lawns is. I mean, it just chews up a lot of the property, we would love the minimum amount possible. If we could do it, I mean, I just.
Let's do a couple of things. First off. They can't move the garage back any further because then they would be out of the open space, correct? Because it make clear more driveway coverage. Okay.
Well, the cluster quite be line on record with their proposal.
No, they are.
The proposal isn't.
Wait, we can't move the garage back?
Oh, no, they come back.
We're saying, he's
Okay.
talking about moving back and forth.
Okay.
Oh, that's more,
So
we would,
no, I'm 5 feet from the property. No,
and there's plenty of space that way, it's
So,
this way.
If we do 2.5 on one side and 2.5 from the lake, we'll be there. We'll be.
That's what I was asking at the beginning. of the meeting, is that
no, it's not. 5 feet is not all.
We're all pretty good five. We don't need the back.
The problem is that getting to 2.5 feet whatever is there. Actually, it's more expensive for us too, because I have to do the fence there. There's a pool in the yard, so I have to.
The pool is his responsibility.
It's it?
Yes.
Well, yes, yeah,
He is required to have
yes,
4-foot lockable fence all the way around his pool.
he knows that, he was
Yes.
okay with the garage.
Probably more
So that
expensive for it, for it.
Didn't have to, and they don't, he's
So
sort of hoping for it.
there is another aspect to this that we're not talking about here, but I didn't bring it up to you now. You're on that, if you take that thing down, put a new one up, your exterior wall has got to be fire rated. I don't know fire rated.
What is that?
It's not,
The wall on the public line, you mean?
yes, that's got to probably have some go around the 1 hour fire resistance rating because it's on. I didn't want to bring it up, but
How simply have it
two, for a detached garage, it's 2. Peter doesn't know this, because you also did that too. So 2 feet in the property line, 4 inch.
Keep it is not attached to any other part of the building.
Is that in the plan that Paul did for us?
It doesn't have,
Or that's not something that can be in a plan?
that probably want to be on here now. I can check and see.
He just says 2x6 exterior wall, typical.
So that,
So go school Paul.
Relying on it.
so I mean, it might not be that much more expensive to build it, if they do give you, grant you a variance, but
You're saying it has to be 2 feet up
at least.
and then a 1 hour wall.
Anything closer than 2 feet's gotta have a 1 hour.
So if it's more than 2 feet, it doesn't need that.
We would be okay with the minimum.
I just wanted to let you know that, because you're talking about.
Yeah.
Thank you, I didn't know
Yeah,
that. I didn't know that. I thought it was because it was detached.
No, it's the primary structure has to be at least 5 feet. Detached, especially the garage is allowed to be 2 feet, 4 inches projected into the. I just wanted to let you know that before.
Right.
PJ had the same thing over his house, he was a little addition, except yours was 5 feet because it's primary. Just wanted to throw that out there, just like,
This was a headache.
I don't. So sad.
I'll entertain the second motion, if somebody wants to do it.
I'll make a motion if you, so that you can use it if you want to, and if you choose to just replace what you have, you can go that route and speak with the office about how to do that. But I will make a motion, for Appeal 2355 to approve for a rebuild of an existing garage that is 20 by 20 to a rebuild of a 24 by 28 garage with a 3-foot setback from the northern property line. And also with a 5-foot setback from the west property line as written in the plans. The new pavement to go from the northwest corner of the driveway to the northeast corner of the new garage will not be any less than 3 feet from the property line as well.
It was a piece of 55. Okay. All right, on that appeal, you got 4 yes votes. So we'll allow you to build within 3 feet of your property. Okay,
We don't want to throw that appeal out.
it will still stand,
Could we-
so
could
and
we
you can,
ask
you
for
can
2?
decide.
Could we ask for 2?
Yeah, we'll do a B with 2. You want us-
I might need another paper.
But yeah.
um,
Still no money to put it the fire.
2 feet you do.
what's that?
2 feet you do. Put the wall.
Thank you.
You don't need the pleasure of
Oh, okay. So you-
that.
Yeah,
You would have to pay more for it.
So 2 feet would be.
But you're using on before, over and 4 inches. If you're at.
What did you say about
When
overhead?
you're used to
Yeah.
overhang, or it's not very good.
What do we have? No, in the, is it not in the thing?
I don't.
No, it's,
They don't show it? I'm pretty sure it's
no, I think over needs to go.
No, he doesn't show an elevation.
Well, it's just what I mean, you. This is the one thing you kind of, is the thing they've done, should have been above. Well, I don't know that. Well, what is in the eaves normally?
It'll be. Well, it's anything just.
Depends upon the construction. My eaves are about a foot and a half. From my
Well, we
house.
can only go 4 inches.
You're 2 feet away, your projection is 1.4 inches to that. Into the. So if you're 3 feet away, you can go. You can go 14 inches. It all depends.
Is the, I mean, could the eaves be bigger if it's so up in the air? I mean, even if the fence were to be put up, it would never be as high as the eaves, right?
That's not the thing. It's just the eaves can't go.
We can't go into
It's
that.
a fire, it's a fire separation.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, there's not a zone.
okay.
So it's between 355 feet.
What do we?
She wants to.
I'll make a motion for number 2355 for a class B area variance, request to deconstruct the current 20 by 20 garage and rebuild a 24 by 28 garage. 2 feet from the property line on the north side, and 5 feet. And for the paved portion that to reach the garage, not to get any closer than 2 feet from the property line.
You get a second.
I think that the driveway can go to the door
Yes,
Yes.
on the property.
Oh, at the 2 feet amount, that same distance as the garage. The property
So
line.
that means that the driveway is going in and then has to go like that.
Yeah, so we'll go at an angle to the garage.
Well, we've agreed that it can go at a diagonal from the corner of the existing pavement to 2 feet in. So in the beginning, it won't be 2 feet, but eventually it will be 2 feet. We're allowing for the diagonal. So we're. See that.
And that's part of the discussion. So, the 2 feet, yeah, 4 no votes.
The 2 feet, we have 4 no votes.
Yes. So all we'll allow you is 3 feet. Or you rebuild exactly where you're at. Is. Kyle had said.
We have to reserve. I think we have to reserve. And we need it to be useful for me, so I mean, if we can't go any smaller than.
Question.
Yes,
Can you do 3 feet over around, since we were 3 feet from the side, 3 feet from the back? Not where is 5 feet from the back, and I go 3 there and 3 there, so like, it's even.
actually, you would run into another area. Of the zoning, and that is open space. We have too much pavement. If you move it back. Because you're right at the maximum or the minimum required open space with this design.
I didn't realize how close we were.
We went through the calculations because that's always something that we check. Because you're enlarging stuff on it and So. What I would say is, thank you, I would say. Go and see Kyle about what all your options are, if you have any
So
questions.
we're gonna take the 2 week, we.
You've got that.
Yeah,
Whether
we
you
appreciate
do
that.
that or whether you rebuild,
Yes,
that's up to you.
we will do it and perhaps you could
The 3 feet was approved by all 4 of us.
best without understanding perhaps future issues that we would have had. We live around garages on our properties, it's just the neighborhood, it's the way it is. And we just haven't had any issues, we let the neighbors in, things there for us.
Yeah.
And
Well,
just
and-
don't use it. And
And a lot of the garages have been there for years.
Right,
perhaps if they have enough, there's down, we'll get off. our property.
they will.
That's good. We'll hold it.
All right,
It's like 3 feet.
thank you for
Thank you.
participating. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Reaching 5 feet, and we can.
Yeah, you could put some beautiful landscaping on the side.
Well, Mr. Brown, we can be pretty clear about what he's gonna do, we'll let him. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, North Country Home Services, come on down. Exciting.
Really good morning.
Okay. Yeah, we like more. All right, you're downstairs in our discussion listening. Tell us about yourself. First off, introduce yourself.
Chris Edmond, and I'm the CEO of Forensic Cam Services.
Okay,
David Grace, and I do fiscal assistant. Thank you.
okay. So tell us what you're looking at doing here.
Yeah, so we've been looking for a building in the Plattsburgh area. We provide home health services to the community where our aides will go out, take care of people in the community so they don't have to go to nursing homes. That's our main goal. So when we saw the variance requirements in the clinic were, we weren't sure of it, that's where we looked for some clarification, and unfortunately, since we go out to the clients, they don't really come into us, it wasn't a perfect fit. But I can discuss more about what our operations look like.
Please do.
Okay, so we have 3 or 4 nurses in the office that are there, except when they're going up to 8 visits for the local community supervised aides. We'll have 3 scheduling coordinators typically working in that office that put the schedules together for the aides, because in between 60 and 80 aides in any period of time in the Plattsburgh area, area. The aides fairly infrequently come into the office on payday, maybe 15 to 20 aides will pop through to check their box. And the other aides kind of pop through throughout the week, maybe once. Positive, we don't really have that flow of stuff into the office all the time. So I think from a use perspective, far less traffic than you're gonna see from the doctor's office. If they're only having 10 to 15 patients a day, I don't know that they're gonna stay open very well. And it's a pretty huge part of how their spaces. So I think our use is gonna be potentially less than what's there, and at worst case, equal to. But I don't really see people doing realistic. So we have 6 to 7 office staff that are there, and the rest kind of just pop through throughout the week. Any other questions?
How much parking is there?
There's actually like 30 spots there, pretty large parking lots.
All right.
So your primary use is just a few desks. And space for them to come in, and what's your plan for the rest of the space?
So we are required to hold training classes for the aides in order to become PCA certified. So throughout the year, we might have a class of, I'm just thinking of Plattsburgh, for example. In Plattsburgh, we might have 3 classes a year where we have 10 to 15 aides come for like a 6-week training period. And they would come in, get trained to get their certificate, and then they would be field workers. You can almost look at the aides as remote workers and they don't live out of the office.
For trainings?
Yeah, like there's a large cafeteria, not cafeteria, but kitchen area where we have the training. There's adequate space towards the right hand side of the building where we have that, and we have the typical office full then for our coordinators. And then the nurses would be just kind of around them. There's probably 25 small cube offices already set up in the building. And we wouldn't be looking to make any exterior changes Aside from, it for the at some point in time, the line is pretty good right now. For quiet, we won't disrupt the community.
Yeah, that vinyl siding is like 4 years old.
It's either,
It's really.
yeah, workout, we couldn't really tell whether it had a really nice paint job or whether it was new.
It's just great.
Is it? Okay. But yeah, and like I said, we're kind of excited to. We've been a community member for 20 years, and more than 20 years. We're just kind of looking for a building that fits our needs. Those are far and few between. In this building that ends up being a bit of a whale, and because of those limitations on residential. But.
Yes, they should have been a public hearing, anyone? No, all right, we'll close the public hearing. And there were no comments from neighbors or anything like that. I didn't think so. Right. Anybody have any questions for him? No. Okay. No, there is not. Yeah, it's just a motion.
Make a motion after review of the full environmental assessment form for appeal 2356. That we find that there are little to no environmental impact. with this question.
All in favor?
I make a motion.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve for the special use permit requested for appeal 2356. To approve for the home health care company to occupy 151 Bridge Street.
Great, we approved two motions tonight. Or yes votes.
Appreciate it.
I think you kind of figured that out.
Yeah.
If that's as good a use as that building.
It works, yeah. Great, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve the June 20, 2023 minute. Oh, that's right.
Favor?
I
That's good.
make a motion to adjourn the July 17, 2023 zoning board meeting. Okay.
Yeah, well,
It's exciting when we have